Welcome to Ode to Games. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Zach Ross. What's up, Zach?
Not much. Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. We're also joined by Kevin Valine. Hey, Kevin.
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Logan?
I'm doing great because we finally have the big announcement that the
Oh
internet
boy.
has not been able to stop talking about for the
Is it
last
great?
2 to 4 years. I'm just happy that the rumors are done, man. I'm just happy it's out there. We're, of course, talking about the new Nintendo Switch OLED model. OLED. Do people say OLED? I've always said
I've,
OLED.
I've never heard anyone say OLED.
I've heard people
Really?
say OLED. It's
Maybe
Okay.
we
better.
just
It's
run in
better
different
than the
circles.
new Switch, though.
It is.
It is.
I mean, they still have the
It's
opportunity to
pretty
do that
clear
down
what
the
it
line,
is.
but
Yeah, so if you haven't heard of this yet, this is the new Switch model. It has a 7-inch OLED screen, and despite the new screen, battery life is still listed from 4.5 to 9 hours, which is the same as the Switch version 2 model, which is the one that came in the red box that released in August of 2019. There's enhanced audio and handheld mode. There's a new dock with a built-in Ethernet port, and you can use the new Switch in your old docks or your old Switch in the new dock. So all Switches except for the Switch Lite work with all docks.
yeah.
It has 64 gigabytes of internal storage instead of 32. A new kickstand, which has a ton of different angles you can set it to and takes up the entire back of the system rather than the really flimsy breakable one that is currently on the main Switch models. The Joy-Cons are the same. There are no performance improvements, so no 4K, no resolution boost, no frame rate boost, no nothing. It costs $350. It's coming out October 8th, which, yes, that's the same day as Metroid Dread. So this is not the Switch Pro that much of the internet was hoping for. It's the Switch, the fourth version of the Switch we've seen, right? The third main version and the fourth revision overall. At a higher price point than the other ones, it's 350. The original Switch is 300. Switch Lite comes in at 200. Kevin, we'll start with you. What do you think of this announcement?
Well, for me personally, it does absolutely nothing. I was really hoping for performance improvements, and I've seen people a lot online being like, "Oh, where's all the 4K? Where's all this?" And personally, I couldn't care less about 4K. 4K does not matter to me in terms of the Switch. What does matter to me is better performance. Because whether you're talking about third-party games or even first-party games, some of them struggle. Like, this isn't a matter of like, oh, I want this to look the best. It's like, I want my game to not chug at certain instances. And whether you're talking about Nintendo's first party or third party, a lot of the games do chug. So it's disappointing that there's no performance improvements whatsoever. And then beyond that, as someone who doesn't play in handheld particularly often, that most of the features and improvements here are for handheld play, whether it's the new screen or whether it's the enhanced audio. And then beyond that, the other improvements that they've made, I feel like a lot of other people have bought workarounds with the internal storage, 64 gigs. Most people have 128 or more with the SD card, so the 64 gigs doesn't really do a whole lot. It's not a ton of space anyways. And then the built-in Ethernet port, that's nice, but I already bought a dongle that plugs into USB that connects to Ethernet anyways, so that's also not a super big selling point for me. I look at this, and this really isn't for people that have already bought a Switch.
Yeah.
The Pro would have been a big upgrade for a lot of people that already owned it to get better performance, but this, I feel like, is really about trying to get a bunch of new people that be willing to spend an extra $50 on the Switch. I do wonder how big of a market that's going to be for people who haven't already bought in for the Switch. That'd be like, hey, I want to spend the extra $50 to get the OLED model. But at the very least, I think this, unless you're really playing in handheld mode and want those extra features, I feel like this really doesn't do much of anything for people that already own a Switch.
Yeah, it's interesting. I look at Nintendo's history of revisions, and this is so much more of like a handheld revision than a console revision. They rarely revise their consoles, right? They revise their handhelds over and over and over, but they don't usually revise their consoles, and when they do, they're downgrades, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But so this is clearly a handheld half step, and it's just really interesting that it does nothing for you if you are a primarily docked player, which I think all three of us are. So
Yep.
Yeah, the target audience is hard for me to figure out who it is for this. Because, yeah, Kevin, you said it's for people that don't have one. But at this point, 4 years in, if you don't have one and you're looking to get one, you're probably going to want to spend 200 or 300, not 350. So I just really don't know
Yeah.
who's going to go out and buy this thing. Zach, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I'm in a very similar boat where I find this a little disappointing because I do consistently play in docked, especially since my Joy-Cons have started to drift. It's much harder to play in handheld mode when you whip it out and you're using the Joy-Cons and you can't really do anything about the drift. It's much easier to just leave it in the dock and use a Pro controller. So
Yeah.
I've become much more accustomed to not playing it in handheld ever, and since this upgrade is entirely handheld focused, and I've never had issues with my Wi-Fi working on my Switch, so the Ethernet port, and like Kevin said, you could just easily buy a dongle that is a USB Ethernet converter on Amazon for less than like $10. It's really not that big of an issue, especially for a new $350 console. Like this is the most expensive Switch to come out.
Yeah.
But it is nice to see that it's coming out alongside Metroid Dread. It's nice to see that they're pushing that game a little more. I don't know if there's any bundles coming out. I don't think there is.
They wouldn't do that.
So just trying to get people to the stores to pick up Metroid Dread and a Switch at the same time. But yeah, I also don't know who the market for this is because at this point, a lot of people already own Switches, and people who have Switches, I guess this is just for those people who are dedicated Switch handheld players who want those upgrades.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that one audience that is a surefire thing to buy anything is the hardcore Nintendo fans, and I'm in that audience, and I'm not going to buy this thing. And so I think there's probably a lot of people like me that fit into that. Yeah, we're suckers that buy almost everything they pump out, but if people like that's kind of my test. Like, is this a smart move? Do I want it? No, I don't want this. So who does? Like, I'm just confused about who does really want it. And then if you're like, yeah, this is a premium handheld experience, then who's the Switch Lite for? People who just want it on a budget, I guess, still. But it's just weird. It's like you have the Switch Lite, which is the handheld focus. You have the Switch original, which is both, and it's like you should have had that more expensive tier be TV focused, right? That to me was like the
Would make
logical
sense.
step. But
Yeah.
they really souped up the handheld. I'm sure the screen will look great. The OLED screen on the PS Vita that I have still looks really nice, and that's a 10-year-old machine. And the screen size bump, I've actually seen a lot of people say, yeah, it's actually a big deal for me. I struggle to read some of the text in handheld mode, and this will hopefully make a difference. But yeah, it's a bit of an interesting upgrade. I honestly can't say I'm that surprised. When we were hearing rumors of this 4K souped up Switch, I was always a little bit skeptical that it was going to be everything people said they were, because Nintendo doesn't do that. They don't want to split that player base, right? They have managed to say, yeah, you'll have a nicer screen, but it's still 720. The games are going to run exactly the same because there's 85 million people. This thing's in the peak of its life cycle. I think it does make sense to not fraction those people. The one time they did fraction them with new 3DS, they made like 3 games for the new 3DS, and it didn't go that well. I don't think that thing sold very well. Is this thing going to sell that well? I don't really know that
Yeah, that is
either.
the question.
Yeah. So an interesting announcement for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, the
I do wonder who's going to pick this up. This obviously isn't more a bigger price difference than, say, PS4 Pro to PS4, or, Xbox One X to Xbox One. But at the same time, you do look at consoles that come in at a higher price tag than the base counterpart, and usually the people that buy in are the people that already own it, right? Like, a lot of the time that is the hardcore people that already are in there, but they want a better experience. If they're going after new people with a more expensive Switch, I wonder how well that's going to work. It is only $50, but man, I do feel like a lot of people who are still not Switch owners, who are waiting, I don't know if they'd be the market that would pay the extra money for a better screen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And then I look at the other consoles too, and it's like a PS4 digital edition is $400, and an Xbox Series S is $300, and it's like now we have a Switch that's splitting the difference between those two. It's just as powerful as the one that is $200, and that's just the really weird thing here. is that there's Switches at 3 different price points, all the same power.
Yeah,
it's just really
weird to see.
Yeah, yeah, 3 separate SKUs that do very different things, but also very similar things. I mean, I think that the Switch library is a better pick right now than the PS5 library and the Xbox library, even with Game Pass included. The Switch has the best library right now. It's just been around the longest. But yeah, I don't know. When I'm looking at these next gen consoles that are super powerful, and then this thing coming in at $350, I don't know how I feel about the price. I think I would have loved to see this thing come in at 300, slash the price of the other one to 250, and then have 200, 250, 300 for your 3 Switch models. And I think that would have been a really smart play, and I think a lot more people would be looking to upgrade if this wasn't $50 more than the original one is.
Maybe they're just assuming like, oh, the Switch is sold so well, we don't need to slash the price. People are going to pay $350 for this new one, or if they don't and get the regular, they're still going to pay $300 for that. It's probably where they're coming in at, where they're just like, we're selling them regardless, so why not make the extra $50 per console?
Yeah.
But we will see how well this sells. The positive for me is that I'm not going to have to deal with trying to fight scalpers to buy this thing, because I don't care about it at all. Like, that was always the concern with a more souped up Switch, is I knew it was going to be absolutely impossible to find. But now I don't even have to care about it at all, because I'm not going to be in the market for it.
Yeah, I wonder how hard it will be to obtain one of these things if you are actually looking, if it will be as difficult as the PS5 and Xbox Series X were at launch. I'm not sure.
Still are, yeah.
Yeah, and Switches in recent times also have been kind of hard to find. But
you never know about launch. The launch can always just be a mess in terms of how much they manufacture right away and how many people are buying it on launch. But I can't imagine it being this situation that the PS5 and Xbox have been in for that long. I feel like after a couple of months it would probably stabilize. But who knows? Maybe there is a much bigger demand for this than any of us think, and it'll be really hard to find. But at this moment, I kind of find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I think that the way scalper culture is right now, they just are scooping up everything. Like, regardless of what it is, amiibo, consoles, special editions, they're just gone instantly, regardless of what it is. So I think that these things are probably going to be hard to find, just because the bots are just crazy right now, and there's really no regulation on pre-orders. There are now for PlayStation, but there weren't at the beginning, right? So I think that's something that I think they'll be hard to find right away. And like, looking at the reception, on Twitter, it's been a lot of negativity, because it's hardcore fans that are tweeting out their negative reactions to this. But like, YouTube likes versus dislikes, it's a significantly more liked video than disliked. Like, it doesn't have very many dislikes, and it has tens of thousands of likes, the reveal video on YouTube. So there is an audience for this. But yeah, I'd like to talk to someone who is not in the hardcore, we read the gaming news every day group, and ask why this one over the one that's $50 less, you know?
Yeah. We'll see in October how it does.
Yeah, but I'm happy with my Switch currently, and I'm happy that I don't feel tempted to spend another $300, $400 this year, because I just bought an Xbox. So I'm good. I am good on hardware for quite some time. But speaking of hardware, Kevin, we're going to talk about some other console revisions.
Yeah, so the Ode 2 this week is going to be about console revisions. So we've all made a list of all of the console revisions that we have owned over the years, and then we've picked our favorite revision, probably one that we've owned, and our least favorite may or may not be one that we've owned, because some of these revisions are pretty darn useless. Looking at you, Nintendo, with some of your home console offerings. I'll throw it to Zach first. Zach, you want to... we can go through just the list of all that we've owned, all three of us, and then go into our favorites and least favorites. So which console revisions have you owned over the years? I see a lot of PlayStation.
Okay. Yeah, well, unsurprisingly, I have owned a PS2 Slim. I'm trying to remember if I owned... I definitely owned an actual PS2, so I upgraded to the Slim. And then I started with a PS3 Slim. I never owned the original PS3. And then PS4 Slim I upgraded to from base PS4, which was a good idea considering the state of base PS4s right now. DS Lite is the DS that I started with.
I feel like a lot of people started with the DS Lite. Like as
Yeah.
a kid, I didn't realize there was a DS before the DS Lite.
That
And
thing
then,
is
like,
kind of
4
ugly
years
too. It's got
later, I
like
was
that
"Whoa."
weird, those weird lines on the back. Like it's been a while since I've seen one, but I don't like the design of it very much. But the
It's
DS
pretty
Lite,
ugly.
I think the DS Lite has a pretty sleek design that I liked a lot. And then from the DS Lite, I upgraded to the DSi,
I'd say you
which was
downgraded.
Yeah, no Game
okay,
Boy
fair enough.
support.
But it had a camera.
Yeah,
And it
it's
has a
shot
lot
in
of
like
big draw.
4P.
Yeah, no, it was blurry. I remember that I just had a black DSi for a very long time, but that thing it was like matte and it got crusty real bad. Like it
got
was hard to
crusty?
take care of. Yeah, because it wasn't glossy like the DS Lite. It was like matte black, so it was just it got fingerprints on it way worse.
Doesn't the gloss
It's
leave the
bad,
fingerprints?
Matt. It's the.
I don't know,
Did
it
you
was
ever
weird.
have a DSi, Kevin?
No, my cousin did, but I didn't really
The
like touch
DSi
it too
is
much.
a really weird matte material. Like
Yeah.
usually matte is really nice.
Right,
Doesn't
usually
pick up a
mattes
ton
are
of
better
fingerprints.
than
like,
glossy in terms
like the
of
3DS XL
fingerprints.
is really nice in not picking stuff up, but the DSi is like this really weird texture that just attracts dirt and it gets disgusting. I had a white one and that thing was so gross, and
Yeah.
Usually you think of like a kid's DS and it is this crusty garbage thing you don't want to hold, but mine were never like that. But then the DSi just got so dirty. I don't like the DSi.
IDSs are always that crusty garbage thing you don't want to hold. Yeah, I did not take very good care of them. But next on my list, then I upgraded to a Nintendo 3DS shortly after they came out, a red one. And I had that for a while, and then eventually, a while later, I upgraded to the new Nintendo 3DS XL, which was a really it's sizable upgrade.
Yeah,
In terms of
base
size
and power.
and power. So that was quite the upgrade that I liked a lot. And then at the bottom of my list, going back in time a little bit, I also had a Game Boy Advance SP. I think this was pre DS. I had it pre DS Lite, but I never had an original Game Boy Advance, so I only had the Cobalt Blue SP, and I played that thing all the time. I loved it so much. So I think off the top of my head, those are the only ones I've had. But as we discuss further, I might recollect more.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logan, how about you?
Yeah, so here is my list. On the Nintendo console side, I have an SNES Slim, which is not the most iconic design.
I forget
thing.
that exists.
Yeah, a lot of people do. People see that and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, it's a Super Nintendo. And they're like,
No, it's not.
but it is. That way, it doesn't turn yellow like the original does.
That's
which
nice.
is probably the biggest.
Yeah, those
perk
things
over it,
get
but it's
discolored real bad.
Yeah, real bad. And I have a Switch Lite. Oh, it is
Yes-
yellow,
yes,
but
you
it was
do.
meant to be yellow. It's not like the Super Nintendo, which turns yellow over time. Then handheld side for Nintendo. I had the original Chunky Boy DS, but I did upgrade to a DS Lite. I had the red and black one. Then I got my hinge cracked, the only DS I've ever had with a hinge cracked. So then I got a DSi. Really missed my DS Lite. I eventually found that same color DS Lite at a flea market, $15, and now I have it again, which is nice.
Nice.
But yeah, the DSi sucks.
Mine
And
got
then-
stolen, which is another
Right.
story.
That's sad.
And then the hinge probably broke after that.
Yeah. I hope the hinge broke on
Karma.
the son of a gun who stole it.
Yeah. Then I skipped the DSi XL. I got a 3DS, and then
There was a DSi XL.
Yeah.
Was it just
All
as
right.
They were like
gross?
pushing. They were pushing. No, it was glossy, like the 3DS. They were pushing like using your DSi as a Kindle at that point, basically. Like the launch game for the DSi XL was like 128 classic novels, but it was all like public
the-
domain stuff. So it was like not anything you'd want to read. Yeah, but that was why that was that at the time, because that was at the height of like the Kindle craze. But then I got the 3DS XL, skipped the 2DS, skipped the new 3DS, skipped the 3DS XL.
Did you almost
skip
buy a
the new-
2DS at Walmart?
I did. It was $40 and I regret it. I wish I had. Skipped the new 2DS XL, but then just last year I found a deal on eBay for a new DS, the one with the faceplates. and I picked that one up. So way after the fact, but I ended up getting that one. And then Xbox 360 Slim was the first Xbox I had. I didn't have the original Xbox 360. And then I upgraded from PS4 to PS4 Pro.
All right.
And that's it. No, I never had a Game Boy Advance SP, which I think is probably the biggest of me. I feel like
I love that
everybody had
thing.
an SP, and I never.
Oh yeah,
Pretty nice.
I played the crap out of my SP.
As for me, I had a Nintendo DS Lite, never had the original, and again, didn't know it was a thing until maybe 3 or 4 years later when I was just. I was with a friend and we were like gonna whip out our DSs to play Pokemon, and they whipped out the original.
It was just
like, what
ugly.
in the world is that? It's a DS. I'm like, okay. I love the DS Lite. I went through 3 of them.
Okay.
I
Sounds
had
about right.
the first one. I think it was because you know how like it would click, the screen would click at a certain point, but you could push it back even further.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like I did something with that, and my screen freaked out and went all like red, like a red tinge on it. Super weird. It was also disgusting, so I don't mind having to upgrade. Then I got a Diamond and Pearl Special Edition one, and the hinge broke on that, which sucked. And then I had to buy a third one more recently that I use now. It's black with like a red top on it. Yeah, but DS Lite's good. I bought an Xbox 360 Slim. I never owned an Xbox 360 original, but I had several friends who did, and basically all of them had to deal with red rings. So, yeah, I did not want to buy an original 360.
The Slim never
better.
red ring, or did it
No,
red ring a lot more
no.
stealthily?
Red ring wasn't
perfect.
really a thing.
That's
Just
crazy.
that base.
Gotta wrap it in a towel. What even is that?
Just don't play it. Then it won't overheat.
problem, yeah.
Just don't use it. I had a PS3 Slim, never had an original PS3. I got my PS3 Slim for free with my laptop in like high school. It was a deal where you get the Slim for
Couldn't
free.
give those things away.
Well, the PS3 Slim I think was more popular. I had a 3DS XL. I bought an original 3DS basically like around launch. I was one of the ambassadors, and then I bought
Welcome to the club.
a 3DS XL. Kind of wish that I waited a little bit and then got a new 3DS XL. Like I like the form factor of the 3DS. That's like the 3DS XL. The form factor's great.
Yeah.
But I wish I could have gotten the extra power with that. But I never upgraded again to the new 3DS, whether that be XL or not. Had a PS4 Slim. That was the PS4 that I bought on a Black Friday like 4 or 5 years ago. Good console, like it a lot. I bought a PS2 Slim at a Value Village or a Goodwill, and that thing scratched up all my discs. Because apparently, when the PS2 Slim gets old, there's this little piece of like tape almost that like kind of gets loose and sticks.
Yeah, it's
up.
a ribbon.
Yeah.
So the ribbon that's part of the disc reader is glued down, and after a certain amount of years, the glue kind of just
Doesn't
dissolves
work
or
anymore.
whatever. It just doesn't work. It unsticks, and then the ribbon pops up, and if you don't realize it, you put your disc in, and then it just goes for a little bit, and and then it eventually just stops.
Yep.
And you take it out, and you look at it, and there's this massive ring scratch along the middle of the disc that just
Yeah.
absolutely destroys it.
So yeah, I kind of messed up Zach's Tekken 4, was it?
Yeah, my Tekken 4's got a bit of a middle ring scratch, which is
And
fine.
then
It's
I bought
mostly just
a copy of
collector's thing.
Yakuza 2, which is a game that's kind of hard to come by, and just
It is,
completely
yeah.
ruined it. Like it doesn't read it anymore. I had to buy another version of that. So that sucked. And then I had a GBA SP as well.
What color?
It was red.
Oh,
It also had a broken
Cobalt blue.
backlight.
oh okay.
Which kind of sucked.
Good
One of
point.
the main reasons to get the SP over the regular. Oh well. Yeah, it was good. All right, Zach, do you want to go through? We'll go through our favorites and least favorites. Zach, do you want to start with your favorite and least favorite?
Yeah, so my favorite is the one I've probably been gushing over the most, and that's the Game Boy Advance SP. I played that thing a lot as a kid. A lot of Pokemon, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Popeye's Racing.
Some
just Pirates
Pirates of the
great
Caribbean,
classics.
Curse of the Black Pearl. It's
Yeah,
a great
all the
game.
classics. There was even a Tekken game on Game Boy Advance that I played.
Yikes. That doesn't sound
That thing was kind of gross looking, but it played just fine. Yeah, just a lot of hours sunk into that thing as a kid. I no longer own it. I don't remember what happened to it. I assume I got rid of it at some point because I didn't really care after I had moved on to bigger and better things like the DSi, but not the DSi. But
what an idea that clamshell case was, though. Like after that,
it was the
DS
start.
Beyond that,
it was the start of the flip. It was
but
the
it's like
dawn of a new
it's
generation.
such a good idea because then you don't have kids just
Keeps it
scratching
clean.
up the screen
Yeah.
on stuff unless they're using the stylus and just scratching it up anyway.
That was a huge. That was like the flip era with flip phones. You know, flip anything. It was just the style, and it kept going.
Yeah.
And
and
it stopped with the 2DS.
Yeah.
2DS killed it.
But then the 2DS kind of brought it back with the regular 2DS. 2DS XL or whatever.
Speaking of the 2DS, my least favorite is the 2DS, which I have not owned because when it came out, I thought it was the ugliest thing in existence. This big old brick of a DS that doesn't flip, and the flipping is my favorite part of the handheld Nintendo genre. So this thing really did nothing for me. I get that it was more of a family, kid-friendly, cheaper option to the DS.
$80.
It was $80
or $40,
which is commendable.
on sale.
But it's that cheap because it's ugly and it's just so ugly.
There's a certain market for that, and I don't think we're really
we're not it.
I think that's kind of the thing with all three of our picks is that they're all Nintendo picks that they did to reduce the cost, which makes a ton of sense. $80 to access the 3DS library is pretty great, but we're more in the hardcore that are going to adopt before the revisions get to that.
We're going to make fun of the cheaper revisions.
Yeah.
With the slider. PS3.
Was that cheaper than the other PS3 Slim?
Yeah, that was the cheapest. That came out after the fact.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's also pretty gross.
Yeah. But I think that right now that's where my favorite and least favorite stand.
All right. Logan?
My favorite is the Nintendo 3DS XL. The original XL, just because I never had the new 3DS XL. Also, the new 3DS XL is glossy, and the original is matte, which I think is just a better choice. But yeah, I love this thing. Any DS that has the stylus on the side for you to just pull out naturally is way better than it works. Like,
why do they
not ever? On the top.
Why would they change it? It's perfect right there.
The DSi have it on the
3DS,
bottom.
No, the DSi have it on the side. The new 3DS, though, has the only thing that is keeping it from being my favorite is it has a stylus on the... And
that's what it is.
It's a tiny, tiny stylus that you can barely fit in your hand. So, yeah. But it slides in on the bottom screen right next to the game cart, which is also on the...
Oh, that I don't like that.
Yeah.
But having the game cart on the top and then having the stylus on the sides, perfect.
Yep. So I love the new the original 3DS XL. It was the first one of any DS to introduce where it could stop halfway and click and open up, and then it could click again all the way, which I actually used a lot for games like Ace Attorney. Like set it on the table and then use the stylus just kind of as like a tabletop open thing. I use that mode a lot. I like the 3D. I actually use the 3D more than I think a lot of people did. The home, start, and select buttons are really clicky. And if you remember the original 3DS, it's like that nasty bushy bar where none of them are really buttons. Yeah, I just think everything about this is better than the original 3DS. And
the original had a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah. It's the weird cake layer where it like sticks out on the top screen.
Yeah, where it just gets this like weird outline of the bottom screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3DS XL is nice.
3DS XL. It's a nice system. And I do have the Link Between Worlds Gold and Black one, which is my favorite. Yeah, and then my least favorite is the Wii Family Edition, which was just a cheaper Wii, but it removed GameCube support, which meant also you couldn't use GameCube controllers for games like Brawl. And I just remember going to like a friend's house and bringing a GameCube controller to play Smash, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have that." I'm like, well, what are we doing then?
What am I doing being your friend?
Got the Wii Family Edition. Yeah, and there's actually another difference in the Wii Family Edition. Really minor. I doubt I'm sure very few people in the world know this. I know this because I wrote a feature on IGN, a history of Nintendo console revisions. And when I was looking at the box for the Wii Family Edition, the text is flipped. So the Wii is supposed to stand up, right? It's supposed to stand up vertically on
Mhm.
that gray stand that it comes in. And so you read power, reset, and eject from left to right when it's standing vertically. So when you tipped it on its side, those words were also tipped on their side. The Wii
Oh.
Family Edition rotates those words 90 degrees and places them above the buttons. You have it on the side, you can read them properly, which is then the same design that the Wii U had. So,
I mean, I guess
random
that
fun fact about the Wii Family Edition.
makes sense though. Like, I don't think I ever used the stand on my Wii. I always just
I
put the
used
thing on
it
its side.
100% of the time. I never left it on its side. I guess I
Really?
was one of the few.
Weird.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like vertical consoles, I guess. Because my
I
PS4
will
is also
say-
standing up.
Here's the good thing about the Wii Family is that it did come with the Wii Remote Plus with Wii Motion Plus built
Okay.
in. That's a perk, and it also came with Wii Sports and Wii Party.
Ooh, Wii Party.
Who really likes
Quality
Wii
title.
Party?
Ooh.
Wii Play also sucks.
Wii Play? Yeah, it was only like
Yeah, Wii
$10 though. You got because you got a controller with it, right?
Yeah, it's true. Because what, it was like 50. And you
It was
got a
50
controller?
bucks and the controller was 40, and then
Yeah,
for a $10
Ooh.
game, like that's totally fine.
I missed when controllers were 40.
God,
Nice.
controllers are stupid expensive now. It's ridiculous. Don't get
Hey,
it.
we didn't talk about this on the show, but they brought back the Xbox controller lab for Series S
Oh,
and
yeah.
Series X. So if I ever get a second controller, I'm gonna spend way too much
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
trying
like
to-
$100
Make it look
or
amazing.
more, something like that.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Never mind.
I thought it
I'm out.
was. I mean,
I'm
I
out.
feel like I've been seeing people being like 90 or $100 for these things, but it's like, but I gotta
Ugh.
design it by myself, and I'm like, geez,
Yeah.
really expensive.
You could buy a slightly less than a third of a Switch OLED model.
Slightly less.
That's what these people are doing, buying all those OLEDs.
Kevin, how about you?
My favorite revision, the Xbox 360 Slim, because it made the Xbox 360 playable. Just
Yep.
seeing, like, just like watching my friends have to deal with the red ring constantly and having to send it in, and then they get it back, and then it red ringed again.
Mhm.
And it's nice that it actually made the thing work, for one. And then two, I think it just looks really nice. Like, something about that original 360 is pretty iconic in a good and a bad way. Again, because of the red ring, but also just the design looks just a little off. I think that the Xbox 360 Slim just has a really nice design. I like the power button and everything like that. It just upgraded a lot from the base 360 beyond performance to make it work. You know, I think it had like built-in stuff for HDMI that the original didn't have because it was from like 2005, 2006. The expandable storage, I think, was easier with their own proprietary storage that I had. Yeah, I think it just upgraded a bunch of stuff and looked really nice. And if you got the garbage 4 GB model, it came with the matte finish that didn't get all the fingerprints. So I just had the nice matte with expandable storage to not have to deal with the glossy of the higher gigabyte one. But
That's the one I had too. 4 gigs. Connect.
which is not a whole lot for some of the later games that came out for it when they were just like extra storage required on the games. But yeah, I think the Xbox 360 Slim is super nice. My least favorite, I mean, the PS2 Slim, just because it broke on me. I'll throw that out there. I know that wasn't what happened on launch, but if you are in the market for a used PS2 Slim now, keep that in mind because I feel like that's more common than you would think to have to deal with this weird band thing that's going to scratch up your discs. But beyond that, the Wii Mini, I didn't own one. I don't know anybody that did. Logan, you knew somebody?
I know multiple people that have a Wii Mini.
How is that possible?
It was in middle school, my best friend's little brother saved up all his allowance to get a Wii Mini for like $60. So that was one there.
Okay.
And it came with Mario Kart. It was like $70 with Mario Kart. Like, that's insane. And then my grandma had, because she does Wii bowling on it for physical.
Okay. Yeah, for people that don't know, the Wii Mini was a tiny Wii console that Didn't have GameCube support, of course, because they already removed that with the Family Edition, so that wasn't a thing anymore. And then it removed online support. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing online, that's not a big deal, but you couldn't, like, access online stores or anything. Like, it was just the discs. It just, you know, I get that there is a market for that, but for me, that is, like, the most useless console that I can imagine. Just removing basically every cool feature of the Wii and then just being like, hey, can only play the discs. And then I'll just throw in the third 360 model because that has got to be one of the pointless systems I have ever seen. Like, it does the exact same thing as the Xbox 360 Slim, and it looks uglier. Like, there's no point. I don't get why that thing exists. No, I do get why, because they're just like, hey, we want to trick people into buying this thinking they're buying an Xbox One because they made it look like it. Really pointless.
One more thing on the Wii Mini, it's a top loader. Like, this thing does not even look like a Wii. It's red and black, and it's a top loader. It is it's like a DVD player. It looks like a cheap DVD player, and it basically is.
It kind of looks like if your laptop doesn't have a CD player anymore, it kind of looks like one of those extra things that you buy to play a CD, just that tiny little square that you plug into your laptop to play CDs or DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does look like that.
Yeah. Really weird
and then
console.
Last note on console revisions from me. The one console that never needed one, because it's perfect already, the Wii U.
So much of a failure, they decided to not even try.
Because they knew that people weren't buying regular. They're like, we're not going to be able to get people to buy a new one.
Yeah, it's because they're like, we reached peak hardware with this device. We can't outdo ourselves.
Gonna have to downgrade to a Switch.
Do we need to upgrade the battery of the tablet so it lasts longer than 30 minutes? No.
Just make the charging cable 30 feet long.
Because we know you got to keep that plugged in all the time.
We know you got to keep your Wii U plugged in.
I think also had like no special editions, right? Just had like the Zelda one.
Yep, that's it. That's literally it. I thought they had bundles, but
like it wasn't like special designs or anything.
Yeah. And the console wasn't even special for the Zelda one. It was just the gamepad.
So weird. What a weird console. That sold poorly. All right, do we want to hop back into the news? We got a couple more stories, right, Logan?
Yeah, not a ton going on, but let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima. A new director's cut was announced. It's coming out on PS5 and PS4 consoles on August 20th. On PS5, it adds DualSense haptic feedback, Japanese lip sync, which I complained about a lot on the show.
That was like one of our big first complaints whenever we played the game.
Why
we wanted to play it in Japanese.
Is that really a thing that needs to harness the power of the PS5?
It's something about how it can like do it on the fly, like render it.
Oh, so they don't have to do it manually?
Yeah, something like that.
I guess they could have done
Interesting.
that with the other one, but okay.
Yeah. And then Iki Island DLC, which is a new island to explore with new mini games, techniques for Jin enemies, and other stuff too. And animals to pet. He pets a cute monkey in one of the reveal pictures. You can transfer your progress from the PS4 to the PS5 version, which is good. I hope it's not as complicated as it was with Final Fantasy, but knowing the PS5, it probably will be. Yeah. So real quick, I want to talk about the pricing because the pricing is weird.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
All right, here we go. Director's Cut on PS4 costs $60. Director's Cut on PS5 costs $70. To upgrade from the PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima to the Director's Cut on PS4 is $20. To upgrade to the Director's Cut from PS4 original to PS5, Director's Cut is $30. And then to upgrade from Director's Cut PS4 to Director's Cut PS5 is $10. So it is... There's a lot going on there. It's kind of a mess, but basically Kevin's paying $60, Zach's paying $20, I'm paying $30. There you go.
Ooh.
Unless Kevin gets a PS5 by then, he's paying $70.
In which case he'll be paying $70.
I wouldn't even be paying $70 on launch for this thing. I'd be waiting for a price drop for sure. This would not be the game that I would pay $70 for the first time for. That has to be a Yakuza game, most likely.
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
Horizon, I guess, maybe. But
How
yeah,
mad would you be if a Yakuza game didn't have Japanese lip sync? That's how I felt. Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I look at this and the first thing that I noticed is like Japanese VO lip sync locked behind the PS5. It's a little weird. I mean, I guess like okay, the extra features make it possible on there, but that's a little odd. And then yeah, it is. We're just in that age where you've got these like cross-gen games, and then if they're trying to add extra content for this re-release of the game, and then they're trying to have an upgraded version, like you're just asking for, especially with PS5 systems where it's not just like one version, you're just asking for a mess. If this was on, I go back to Xbox again and again. If this was on Xbox, it'd probably just be the same thing. Like that's how all their games work, where it's like you buy the thing, like it's most noticeable when you're buying a physical version of a game where it just says Xbox on it now. And it's just like, it works on the Xbox One and it works on the Xbox Series X or S. I guess the physical doesn't work, but
not the
but the digital version does. And I just look at that and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that's so simple. And then you have PlayStation there and be like, we have to differentiate between the PS4 version and the PS5 version. We need to have different upgrade paths for the PS4 version to the new version or to the PS5 version. I think this just shows how much more confusing the PS4 to PS5 system is in terms of upgrading your games than Xbox's is.
Yeah. And another thing to think about is AAA games take so long to make now and are so expensive to make and take so much manpower to make. They're milking these games more than ever before. I know we've always had Game of the Year and Gold Editions and Complete Editions.
Now we're in the era of director's cuts.
Every Sony game is getting this. Spider-Man got remastered. Ghost of Tsushima is getting remastered. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade.
Death Stranding,
Death
director's
Stranding
cut.
Yeah.
Everything is getting, hey, here's the game remastered for next gen with a little extra content. And it's like, is that the thing now, to like milk more out of this game that took 5 to 7 years to develop? While it delays the sequel a little bit too, which is another interesting thing to think about. They were working on this. They haven't been working on Ghost of Tsushima 2. They've been working on this PS5 upgrade and the Iki Island expansion. So, yeah, what do you guys think of that?
Go ahead, Kevin.
I think it just gets confusing again because you've already got the PS5 graphical upgrade for free.
Yeah.
Like, I think it just adds another wrinkle to everything where they're like, hey, there's a free upgrade to PS5 to get just the graphical power and the improved performance. But if you want this director's cut on PS4, you need to pay this. But if you want to upgrade to the PS5 version, you need to pay this. But if you want to upgrade to the PS4 version and then to the PS5 version later, you have to pay this. And then I feel like some people would be like, but wait, does that mean that I have to pay for the graphical upgrade? People that aren't as in tune with what's going on in the news cycle for games. And it's like, no, that's a free upgrade. But if you want this director's cut that it has the extra content, you have to pay more, but it varies based on the console you get it on. Like, it just adds a whole nother wrinkle to what is upgrading on PS5. But yeah, I also feel like that is kind of the wave of the future of this. You have the upgraded graphical performance that is free, but then for a lot of these games, they're going to have extra content that is that they'll charge an extra amount of money for. It'll be $70, or if you already own it, it'll be a little bit cheaper. But that seems to be the way that they go.
That's the silver lining, is they could say no upgrade, right? I feel like there's been games in the past where it's like, hey, if you want this new content, I mean, Nintendo does from Wii U to Switch. The difference is that no one had these games on Wii U. So I don't think it's as egregious as if Sony was like, hey, Ghost of Tsushima sold 10 million copies, but just kidding, you have to pay $70 more for this. It is great that there is that upgrade path for people who do own it already, but I also think this is better than something like what we saw with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed this week, saying they're abandoning basically the old format of single-player adventures and doing this live service, ongoing Assassin's Creed world, merging their studios. And it's like, I'd rather have Sony milk Ghost of Tsushima on a second release than Ghost of Tsushima 2 being this Destiny Fortnite-like experience that isn't what I like or want from a sequel.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably pretty beneficial from Sony's standpoint because it really helps pad the library shortly after the launch of their new console with all these upgrades and performance enhancements of these games that already exist, while all of these PS5 exclusive games that are taking forever to come out are still in development. So it draws more people into buying these PS5s for these upgraded versions, while the library still isn't, as full of new experiences as it could be.
And they can't rely on Game Pass like Xbox can.
Exactly.
They kind of need to rely on either the new games that come out like Ratchet and Clank or these upgrades from PS4.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but aside from that, very excited for this new island in Ghost of Tsushima. That
it looked really good.
One of my games of the year last year. One of my favorite games. Really surprised me with how much I loved it. And yeah, it looks gorgeous. New island, I'm sure. Hopefully they add a lot of new ideas. And yeah, I'm excited to jump back into it because I've been chipping away. I never talk about it on the nothing really new to add, but I've been slowly chipping away at that just in my spare time playing Ghost of Tsushima because I just love that combat and getting new content and in less than 2 months is super exciting.
And they did do the do that multiplayer update for free, right?
Which is also awesome. Yeah.
If they're gonna charge, I don't understand why people are like, oh, why are you charging extra money for this when there is a bunch of new content added here with the extra island. It's more so the way that they're doing it PS4 to PS5 and the differentiation between all those that's really confusing. But in terms of just charging for more, there is new content. It is DLC or a part of a season pass basically. I can understand why they would charge for it because it is a new island with a bunch of new content. Just how they decided to roll out the different ways to upgrade is a little weird.
It's interesting because 20 felt just about right for me. From my PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake to the PS5 version with the DLC was $20, and $30 to go from PS4 to PS5 from the DLC does feel $5 or $10 too steep to me.
Yeah.
For an island that's going to take me 4 to 5 hours to play through, that feels like a little bit much to me.
But Japanese VO lip sync only available.
But
now that we've played the entire game in English, you can't just swap over to Japanese,
because the English is really good. It is actually really good. But yeah, I started it in Japanese, couldn't do it, and switched, and I'm not going back with the lip sync. I wish I would, but for Kevin, if you play it first on PS5, you could just jump into that.
And that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm kind of glad that I was thinking about picking up when it was on sale for PS4, but now I'm just gonna wait until the PS5 version's out. I have a PS5, and that version's on sale. It's just gonna be my plan going forward. Maybe $50 for that or something.
Yeah. So there is a state of play set for this week. By the time this episode's up, state of play will have happened.
That seems to be the way we go. That's that's the way we do things here.
Yeah, so look out for that. Deathloop is going to be there. It's focusing on
third-party
games.
Why is Deathloop coming back again?
I laughed so hard when I saw that an extended look at Deathloop.
We've already gotten it.
They haven't shoved it down our throats enough.
I get it. It's like a big game. It's PS5 only. They want to be able to push it. But at the same time, I'm wondering who they're going for here. The diehard fans like Zach are already in their day one. And then I feel like the people who would have been swayed by a trailer would have been by now, right? I don't think, does it really need another deep dive? You could have in this, we don't know how long it's going to be for how long they show Deathloop, but you could just have a 1 minute trailer.
They're showing it for 9 minutes.
Oh God, you could just have a 1 minute trailer being this is coming out, here. In case you forgot, this is coming out to remind people who may have forgotten since it's gotten delayed again. Who are you winning over with another 9 minutes?
No one.
I don't know.
But I do understand that Arcane games don't sell, and they're really good, and they're doing everything they can for this one.
I guess.
But
I just don't know who's going to get swayed at this point if they weren't swayed already.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I have to imagine that it's going to be just the same stuff that they showed before. I feel like they already showed a ton. before.
I'm just hoping that the one more thing is Final Fantasy, either 16 or 7 too.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that.
Or more of Strangers in Paradise. What's it called?
No thanks.
Gotta kill chaos.
Oh god.
Gotta kill him.
But we're gonna stop the news there for this week.
All right, Zach.
Great, that'll do it for the news this week. Kind of a lighter week, but we'll be moving on to what we've been playing over the course of the past week. We're gonna start with Logan this week. Hey, Logan, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Metroid Zero Mission on my Wii U and Forza Horizon 4.
Hey, join in the Forza Horizon Club.
It's so good.
Yeah, right? Look, those games are fantastic.
Yeah, I think I talked about it last week for the first time. I think a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you?
And now I'm in the 3rd season. I'm in winter now, and the roads are slick, and it is difficult to drive my sports car around. But
Yeah.
it's super fun. I love how fast I'm ripping through the campaign, but how much there is to go back and do if I want to. I love open world games that are like, you can beat this in 15 to 20 hours, or you can play it for 80 to 100 if you want to. That's the best type of open world game in my opinion. So I'm super into that. And yeah, just buying new cars, upping the difficulty slowly because I'm actually getting better at the game. I am historically trash at sim racers. I am so awful. But yeah, having a super fun time with that. And then Metroid Zero Mission. I'm nearing the end. I beat every boss except the last boss. So I have like the final area to get through, which I don't know how long that is, and then the last boss of the game. But I still think it's really great. I think it's my favorite Metroid game of the 4 that I've dabbled in. I've played a little bit of all 4, and this is my favorite one so far. It's all down here from here. It's all downhill from here, baby, because I got to play all 3. But yeah, it's really great, and I'm getting super hyped to play Dread on my OLED.
Oh, on your OLED
on October 8th.
on launch.
No.
Hell yeah.
But Dread on launch, yes.
One of those two things.
The white OLED Switch looks like the robot from Metroid.
Yeah, I wonder if they were doing that. Like, oh my god, we could bundle this with Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
We gotta put these together with the colors. Kinda
Yeah,
matches.
I thought that instantly. I'm like, that looks like a Metroid Switch, and then it's like October 8th. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I wonder. Just going back to the OLED for a second, I wonder if it's gonna keep scratching the Switch screens. if it's still compatible with the dock. If the support is still the same with the regular to the new one, like you can use them for both. Like I wonder if that's still going to be a thing, or if they've kind of smoothed it out a little bit. Because the bezels are smaller. We were talking about that before, where we can't have the screen be that much bigger, or if the bezels get smaller, then the scratches could get worse. I wonder if they've fixed that at all.
Yeah, I don't have a screen protector on my normal Switch, but if I ever got an OLED, I'd put a screen protector on that one.
Yeah.
Just worried about that, yeah.
All right, Kevin.
Xenoblade, that's it. But I am getting a lot more into the new content, new story stuff. Story's getting good. I'm getting really invested in this new stuff that I haven't seen. And again, just going back to exploring these new areas is super cool, and getting to this new stuff that I'm just like I've never seen before, and just how vast these sections of the world are. It just reminded me again of how cool the world design is of Xenoblade. It's good. That's basically it. I've been kind of busy, but just chipping away at that.
Awesome. As for me, couple things this week, couple of new things to talk about. I'm back and beat Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. Not Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, so that's a different Castlevania 2. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest is the NES direct sequel to the first Castlevania, starring Simon Belmont, the best Belmont.
Starring the
only
game
one.
guide that you need to beat that game, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely needed help with that game because it is that classic NES style of it doesn't tell you anything. You just got to get in there and you got to find what you need. And it is generous with the death system where if you die, if you lose all 3 lives, you just lose you lose all of your currency, but you can just grind more monsters because you do need to buy stuff in this game to progress. But you can always grind monsters, especially there's a day-night cycle, which it's a pretty old game to have a day-night cycle, but whenever there's night, you can easily grind monsters, so it's not that bad. So that was nice. Whenever you die, you just respawn immediately where you died.
That is nice.
But the hardest part about this game was finding where you need to go. The plot of the game is that a handful of years, like 7 or so years after Simon defeats Dracula, he was cursed in the fight.
Spoilers.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Oh god.
You don't defeat Dracula.
Oh no.
You lose.
Yeah, so Simon has to go around collecting 5 pieces of Dracula that his cultists are using to resurrect Dracula. So you have to go to 5 different locations.
Like his thumb.
More like his eye, his heart, his ring, his fingernail.
It's like Xenoblade going to the parts of the Bionis.
Yeah, and then something else.
Same
It's gross. So you have to go around collecting those, and they're very very hard to find without a guide. Because at some points in the game, you kind of just have to own an item you buy from a random guy in a town. Then you have to go to this part of the map and then just like squat for a few seconds, and then stuff starts happening, like a tornado comes in, picks you up, and takes you away to a castle. So I don't know how anyone would ever know that without help.
The NES days were, man.
Brutal.
I know that
legitimately
it's
don't
because that was
understand
all there was, and that was
People would
the stuff
play
to
this-
play.
People
But-
could play this game for a very long amount of time. It took me
Man.
less than 2 hours to beat with the help of guides.
That's why, man. Like,
but-
going back to NES games can be rough. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of those games do not hold up very well.
And in my march through Castlevania, it made the most sense to start there because that's where it started. Way back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s. Mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a good time. For the most part, I never could have been there without the guides. I won't pretend that I could have. But it was a good time nonetheless. And since I'm trying to beat a lot of Castlevanias, I didn't want to waste a year of my life trying to beat Castlevania 2 for the
Figure out where the
NES.
tornado picks me up to
Yeah,
go to another
absolutely.
spot of the world.
It would be too ridiculous. I don't know where I want to go next. I have the Anniversary Collection, so I could play the Game Boy ones, which is Castlevania Advance and Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, or I could play Castlevania 3, which was also an NES game.
You could play Super Mario Sunshine.
I could play Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Yeah, Super Mario Sunshine I haven't picked up since I was so busy with Castlevania. So it's been I'm gonna beat it. It's fine. I'll beat
Okay.
it eventually.
We're into
I've
July
got plenty
now.
of time left. Oh my god. Month 7.
Mario.
Trying to balance Year of Castlevania and Year of Mario. Both
good
at 2
plan to
games.
do both of those at the same year.
Easy. Yeah, absolutely. It's efficient. And then other than that, on a completely unrelated note, I started Hades, which I bought for Switch on sale a little while ago, maybe a few weeks to a month ago. I've just had it sitting on my Switch. Decided to finally try it out. It's pretty good. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things. Won a bunch of indie awards. Game of the Year when it came out. A lot of voice acting awards. The voice acting is very good. The character designs are great. It's fun. I haven't gotten super far. The progression system of getting buffs each run from different gods, and then having every time you die, you go back to Zagreus's, hell base where everyone is and where his room is, and you can spend points that you collect to actually upgrade features like your health bar or just different abilities like that to make sure you progress further each time. So that's the dungeon crawling, rinse repeat aspect of the game. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how long it'll take me to beat it. I don't know how many rooms I need to get through. But hopefully it doesn't take too long, considering I've got a lot of Year of Castlevania and Year of Mario to attend to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of years to attend to, but we'll see. Hopefully it won't take too long, but it's a good time so far. I can see why it got so much praise.
Nice. How's your hunt for the Series S going? Are you still doing that?
I am still doing that. I missed it again yesterday, I think.
Shoot.
Every time I see it on Twitter, I'm like, yeah, 45 minutes ago and it's gone.
I mean,
It's a little upsetting.
the regular
Red
ones are
alerts.
gone in like 50 seconds.
Yeah.
So
The Series S's we've determined last about like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
pretty
something
good.
like that. So it's not terrible, but I keep missing it.
All right. Well, good luck to you moving forward. Trying to get that. Hopefully you find one here pretty soon.
I'm like, do I just get a PS5?
I mean, aren't you going to be getting one soon here? They're going to be showing off Deathloop again.
I know, yeah. I'm like, maybe we're coming to the point where maybe it is stupid to. Things are going to start coming out for the PS5, and I'm just going to be sitting there with a Xbox Series S like an idiot.
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people with their PS5s have been. Just a lot of people online are just like, yeah, I play the exclusives on my PlayStation, and then I just hop over to my Xbox for everything else because it's all right there. Yeah. But you are gonna have to get a PS5 soon if you want to play Deathloop. The thing's coming out in a couple months, unless they delay it again.
Oh,
they
can't
show off
imagine
9
that would
minutes of
happen.
that.
I cannot imagine.
Like, coming out in November.
November 11th, 2022. Same day as Starfield. Deathloop.
Let's go.
Yeah, hopefully they don't delay it again.
Kevin, I have a good final thought.
Yeah? Let's get into the final thoughts because it's about time to wrap up.
There was a Super Monkey Ball amiibo.
Oh,
I was seeing that. Yeah, is that...
It was fake?
Is it fake?
It's either fake or real. We don't know yet.
Okay.
A leak.
And it was just leaked on 4chan. Who knows if it's real, but it's It's Banana Blitz
So you...
But it could be a real amiibo. I just think it's weird that we don't already know about it.
So is Sega gonna charge an extra like $5 for the old style amiibo?
Yeah, you can order a replacement part, crack open the ball, replace it, and screw it back on.
Yeah, $5 more.
But I hope it's real because that would be great.
Did you buy it even with this new design? You do it?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. And then you just look at it and you're like, Banana Blitz, ew. But Monkey Ball, nice.
Banana Mania, bro.
Banana Mania. Woo!
And
when does that come out again? Banana Splits.
September or October, I can't remember. There's
it's right around Lost Judgment, right? Or something like that?
Yeah.
September.
There's so much I want to play in that like 2-month span between Judgment, Monkey Ball, Mario Party, Metroid. Sonic Colors, I'm not going to play yet, even though I wanted to. Wanted to revisit that, but now it's just going to wait.
We'll get back to that.
WarioWare, forgot about WarioWare.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Halo in November, but Halo I'll get for free.
Let's go.
Game Pass. Awesome. Zach, any final thoughts from you before we wrap up?
Nintendo games, please.
We need. I think that whatever I see come in stock first that I can achievably grab is what I'm going to go after.
So next week he's going to have a Series X.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to have. Yeah.
Just like I don't know what happened. It's just like showed up.
Oh God. Think about that.
You're gonna. What if it's the Switch OLED that pops in stock first?
That's fine. I don't care what it is.
Zach is just tied to that. I hope you get a PS5
ready.
before the OLED comes out in October. But
I hope so.
Guess we'll see. For my hunt, still no luck. No luck on the Amazon front, and no luck on the lottery. I think this is my 4th or 5th entry, and I've got nothing. So keep on chipping away. I do got my Wii U over there, as Logan is showing off his Wii U, a reflection of us in it.
Gave me a headache.
That is going to do it for us on this week's episode of Ode Games. We're here on Thursdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please stop showing the Wii U. It's hurting my brain that I'm seeing myself twice. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you may use. ODGames.com has the audio version of the podcast up every week, so you can check it out there as well. The video version is on YouTube at ODGames, so if you want to check out the video version, it is there for you at around the same time as the audio version. We're on Twitter at ODGames, Twitch ODGames. You can send an email to odgamescast@gmail.com. There's 2 videos on there. You can check it out, right? Or 1 video?
Yeah. I have
check
some
it out.
Fall Guys victories up on Twitch
Yeah.
from like August of last
Shout out to that. I still got to keep plugging it one of these days.
Yep.
For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.